So guys, you're not going to believe this, but an MCU movie recently came out that I was actually excited for once. I know, I'm just as surprised as all of you. I was actually interested in this movie. This, along with Fantastic Four, were probably tied for the movies that I was most excited for this year. I was certainly more excited for these two movies than I was for Brave New World. So this movie, called Thunderbolts with an Asterisk, is about a group of 6 individuals who end up crossing paths with each other, and at first they don't like each other. They end up arguing a lot, but it turns out that they eventually have to come together and work together as a team in order to stop a supervillain in New York City. I feel like I've seen that before, but I could just be losing my marbles. However, there's a catch. These group of individuals are not heroes, they're villains. And the reason they end up crossing paths is because they all work for, brace yourself, Valentina Allegra DeVontaine, or Val, who we've seen in some of the other MCU projects like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the post-credit scene of Black Widow, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and she is the director of the CIA. And in this movie, she's facing impeachment. And Bucky Barnes is also in this movie, who is a congressman, which was hinted at in Brave New World. Now, because Val is facing impeachment, she wants to get rid of all of the evidence against her, and to do this, she sends all of these villains that have worked for her to this vault, and little do they know, it's actually a death trap for all of them. She wants to try to kill all of them so that it won't tie back to her. Now, of course, this doesn't end up working, and they all escape out of the vault, but in the vault, they actually meet a new character who's named Bob, and Bob doesn't remember what happened to him. He doesn't know why he's in the vault. He has basically no memory, and he helps the other villains escape from this vault so that they can go stop Val. Now, one of the reasons why I was excited for this movie was because, for one, the concept sounded interesting, and it was using characters who I actually really like. First of all, Bucky Barnes, who is an MCU veteran, has been around since Phase 1. I've always liked his character. Yelena and Red Guardian, who were in the Black Widow movie, which was a movie that the first time I watched, I did not care for at all, but upon multiple rewatches, I actually found myself liking the Black Widow movie. I like that it's a story about this fake family that started off as like an assignment, basically, and they were trying to like act as a family, but then later on they come to realize that it's not really fake. They do actually care and love one another, and I thought that was handled really well. The movie's not perfect. Black Widow has some major comedy issues, very forced comedy, and really bad green screen effects, especially towards the end. But Black Widow is a movie that has grown upon me, and is a movie that I actually think is pretty solid. And Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, is a character I like from that movie. Didn't like her appearance in Hawkeye, though. I know a lot of people... this is a side tangent, by the way. I'm sorry. If you're familiar with me, you know that happens a lot. But I just want to say, did not like her appearance in the Hawkeye show. Her relationship with Kate Bishop was just way too fucking cartoony for me. I've heard so many people praise their dynamic in that show, and oh, the scenes between them are so funny, and it's like, I'm sorry, the scenes of Yelena in Hawkeye just came across as way too fucking cartoony, and it just took me out of it, because the show, like, yeah, of course the show has the usual Marvel humor, whatever, but for the most part, the Hawkeye show was pretty serious in its tone, and then all of a sudden Yelena comes in the last 3 episodes, and it's tonally inconsistent. It's completely tonally inconsistent. It's like, oh, I'm here to kill Clint. I'm here to kill your friend, but yet it treats it as if it's like this goofy haha moment, and it's like, I'm sorry, it took me out of it. Did not like her appearance in that show, but I liked her in Black Widow, and I'll get to it in a moment, but I do like her in Thunderbolts. Asterisk. Red Guardian is in this movie, also from Black Widow. And John Walker, U.S. Agent, is in this movie, and that got me really interested because I loved what they did with him in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. One of my favorite parts about that show, the fact that he's basically the opposite of Steve Rogers. He becomes Captain America, and he's, like I said, he's the opposite of Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers is not a perfect soldier, but he is a good man. And that's what made him so inspirational and is so beloved by everyone, and why he's a great Captain America. John Walker is a piece of shit. He is the complete opposite of Steve Rogers. He's a perfect soldier. He gets shit done, but he's not a good man. He's a bit of a dickhead. And I loved that. I loved his character. Of course, the fans treated him like shit, treated the actor like shit, gave the actor death threats because he was Captain America, not realizing that that was the point of his character, was to be an asshole. I don't understand why the fans were so outraged. Like, it's like they couldn't comprehend the fact that, this is a TV show, guys. Captain America is not real. There's no reason for you to get upset at this actor. Like, he's supposed to play an asshole, and he's good at playing an asshole. He's a real prick. In fact, someone in the Thunderbolts movie says, "You're a prick." I love his character, so I don't understand that, but I was really interested in what they did with him in this movie. Then you have other members of the Thunderbolts, Ghost and Taskmaster, which those were like the two members that I was like, okay, whatever, don't care for their characters, but it rounds out the team, Now, before we get into the movie itself, I want to first address the fact that in the last MCU movie, Brave New World, I addressed the fact that they got rid of the flipping pages Marvel intro that has become iconic at this point, has been used in almost every movie since the early 2000s. It was not in Brave New World. It was just generic Marvel Studios Presents. So I'm sure the question that a lot of people have had for Thunderbolts with an asterisk is the flipping pages Marvel intro in this movie? Yeah, you're damn right it is. Fuck yeah. They brought it back, and not only did they bring it back, thankfully, they actually updated it, I think. I noticed that it looks like they used different comic book pages, new comic book pages, what I'm trying to say. And it also, because of the void being in this movie, they start the intro and the flipping pages, and as the logo is like turning around, it envelops in darkness because of the void, and then Marvel Studios, is shown in black, which I think was pretty clever. But fuck yeah, they brought the intro back, flipping pages. Please don't ever get rid of that again, Marvel, because it's iconic, it's amazing, it's a great intro. Appreciate the fact that you updated it. I'm pretty sure they updated it. Maybe I'm just, again, losing my marbles. But finally, let's talk about the movie itself. Thunderbolts with an asterisk. This movie was actually getting good reviews. I was hearing that it has like an 80% or a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, seems like a lot of people are liking it. But if you're familiar with me and my reviews, even in the slightest, you know that I'm not afraid to go against the popular opinion. So, what did Arron Shits on Everything Turner think of Thunderbolts with an asterisk. I thought this movie was pretty shit. And by pretty shit, I mean shit with an asterisk at the end, because this movie was actually pretty good. I thought this movie was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I will start off with my positives, of course. Number one, the performances. All the actors in this movie give good performances. There wasn't a single performance that I thought was phoned in. However, the obvious standout, the clear standout that I've heard other people already say, is Florence Pugh as Yelena. She's amazing in this movie. By far the best performance, the standout. It's very clear. And not only does she give a good performance, I love her character in this movie. Actually made me really care for her character. The movie is focused a lot on Yelena, and maybe some people would have a problem with that because this is a team-up movie. It's an ensemble cast. Some people would maybe expect it to focus on the team in general, not just one or two characters. But I didn't really have a problem with it. Like, yeah, sure, Yelena does get more screen time compared to the other members, but the other members have a good amount of screen time too. It's not like they're forgotten about, but Yelena is focused on more than the others. But since I liked her character, I don't think that's a bad thing. If I didn't like her character, I would probably be having a problem with this, but I liked her character. And also, I think Florence Pugh deserves more credit because she actually did her own stunt in this film, or stunts, I'm not sure, but I know for a fact that the opening scene where she jumps off the building, that was not a stunt double. That was Florence Pugh jumping off of the second tallest building in the world. So bravo. I think that's great. Of course, I mean, it's not, when it cuts to the shot of her, Yelena falling off the building, it's not Florence Pugh, but Yelena jumping off the building, that is Florence Pugh, so that's pretty fucking cool. And also regarding that opening scene, it's great, it's fantastic. It's the shot of her standing on the building is beautiful, starts the movie, and then you get that fight scene in the hallway, and it's like a bird's eye view of the hallway, and Yelena's fighting. And not only is that sort of a callback to the Natasha hallway fight scene way back in Iron Man 2, which I thought was clever, but it's just a well shot scene. It's really great. So yeah, really strong opening to this movie, and Florence Pugh does a great job. Performances are great. I guess you could say that the cast brings the thunder in this movie. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. And I guess that leads me into my next point. The action is great, which is to be expected at this point with Marvel movies, but one of the things that does make the action great in this film is that a lot of it was practical. They didn't use like green screen or a bunch of CGI. A lot of it is practical, and they talked about that, a lot with the behind the scenes content, I'm sure. And of course, you got that one really fucking badass scene with Bucky that you saw part of in the trailer that I'm sure everyone is gonna say is a standout. This is probably one of the coolest, most badass action scenes in the entire MCU. Very Terminator-esque. In fact, didn't they say that it was inspired by the Terminator? You have like Bucky Barnes bringing in his inner Winter Soldier, and he's on a motorcycle, and he catches up to the rest of the members of the Thunderbolts as they're trying to escape Val and all the whatever CIA agents. And there's the vehicles that are chasing after them in the big limo or whatever. and Bucky Barnes just shows up in his motorcycle. He's got the sunglasses on, and it's so fucking cool. It's great. Bucky single-handedly takes out all the vehicles, and like it's completely, it's 100% the Terminator. Even the way Bucky like flips his gun up is complete like Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator 2 style. You know, like it's great. So yeah, that scene was awesome. And again, I'm sure that was part of the practicality too, flipping the vehicles over and shit. So awesome. Now I want to talk about the big thing of this movie and also the villain of this movie, the Void / Sentry. So we're introduced to Bob in this movie, who they find in the vault, and like I said, his memory is fucked. He doesn't remember anything about why he's in the vault, what happened to him. But there's something special about him. He has powers, he has abilities, and we later learn that he was experimented on. And this basically caused him to turn into a very powerful being. And Sentry, as his that's his superhero dub name, he's basically Marvel's version of Superman. He is all powerful and he is basically a god. And Val is responsible for his creation. But the thing about Bob or Sentry is that there is a dark side to him. This dark side to him is referred to as the Void. And one of the best parts about this movie and what they do, how Void is used, is that the Void is a representation for the void that everyone has inside of them. Basically, this movie has a huge emphasis on mental health awareness. This movie basically takes these bad guys, because like I said, this is a team of villains, obviously, so it takes these characters who have done bad things, and it's especially with Yelena, but it's with some other members too. They all have a dark side, and they all have a past that they want to forget. And Yelena in particular feels that she's just tired of doing what she's meant to do. She's tired of the same routine every day. And the Void in this movie, like I said, it basically represents a person's mental health. It represents basically a sort of depression. And I thought that was really clever, and it's unique because this is an MCU movie that actually tries to say something and has a message behind it. So the darker side of Bob, or the Sentry, the Void, is a representation of the void inside all of us. It's just a matter of whether we let that void inside of us take us over. And yeah, it's really great. Now, I will be getting into slight spoilers here. I'll be talking about full-on spoilers later, but this is slight spoilers. One of the clever things they do with Bob in this movie, or the Void, is that when the characters go inside of the Void and they're trying to fight him from within, is that inside of the Void, you get to see some of Bob's memories, and basically they tell some of his backstory through his mind, through his memories inside of his head. You know, you get to see, the abuse he suffered from his parents, him being experimented on, him turning to drugs. as a way to cope. It's really well done, that part of the movie. And another great thing about the Void is his very creepy design. As you can see, he's basically a shadowy figure, hence why he's able to turn people into shadows and basically corrupt them, and he's able to envelop New York all in darkness, basically. But he also has, so his design is all shadow, except he has very small white pupils. And it's a pretty good, creepy design, and I liked that. And I want to address that complaint that people are having about, oh, it's just a team of super soldiers, basically. They don't have any powers. Like, how is this a superhero team? But that's not really the point of this movie. The point of this movie is like the mental health stuff, and they just talk with the villain. They don't fight the villain. They're just there for him. I especially like one of the posters that they made for the movie has the tagline at the top: "Not super, not heroes, not giving up." You know, because they're not super. None of them have superpowers. They're not super. They're not heroes because these are all villains, but they're not giving up. It is perfectly summarizes this movie. It's great. Now, of course, is the part of the review where I transition into my negatives, because I do have some problems with this movie, even though I said it was pretty good. And the point that is usually my transition point, in this case for this movie, is that I feel like the stuff with Sentry, specifically Sentry, not the Void and not Bob, the stuff with Sentry feels very rushed. And I have this as my transition point because I don't really have a bit. This isn't a huge deal for me. I don't think it's a huge problem. It's just something that it was a little jarring because, Bob, of course, he has no memory of what happened to him, but he is this all-powerful god. He just doesn't realize it. So Val helps him realize that he is a superhero. He's all-powerful, and he can do all these things. And so Val basically helps train him in how to learn how to use his powers. So you have this scene where he's like crushing a glass of water, and explodes whatever. He cracks it and it explodes, and you have that scene, and then literally 2 scenes later, he's in the Sentry suit, and he just is a pro. He knows how to he knows how to use all his powers, and Val uses Sentry and against the Thunderbolts. I just thought it seemed very rushed. It was, he's just starting to learn how to use his powers, and then 1 or 2 scenes later, boom, he's a pro and he's in his costume. Okay. Now, the reason why I don't think this is a big deal is because I understand why they did that. It's 2025. Audience members don't really care to see superhero origin stories anymore. They just want to skip straight to the action. There's so many friggin' characters in the MCU now. We don't really care to see someone learn how to use their powers, especially when, again, they're basically it's the Superman version. It's Marvel's version of Superman is what I'm trying to say. So, we know that he's an all-powerful god. He's not exactly like Superman. He does have some unique powers. I'm not trying to say that he's just basically Superman, but I understand why they did that. So it's not a big deal. It's just something that I wanted to point out because it does feel rushed, but I understand why. Now the next this is a sort of transition point, but also something that is a bigger problem than the Sentry rushed thing. And that is the comedy. The comedy is for the most part, I wasn't a big fan of. Um, I will say there was two jokes in particular that I actually did think were pretty funny. One of them is at the beginning of the movie when Bucky, he's a congressman, so he's talking to the press, he's being interviewed, and he's talking about the impeachment, and he's like, yeah, this is a very concerning and worrying situation. It's a very worrying situation, and he keeps on repeating himself because he just doesn't give a fuck about these he just wants to move on. So I actually thought that was pretty funny. And then you have a scene where the Thunderbolts are trying to escape from the vault and escape past all the CIA agents and Val, and they escape in one of the vehicles, and you have that, like, what would normally be like a really cliche escape scene where the guard asks, yeah, can I see your ID? And then John Walker, he's like, you think that he's going to do some sort of like cliche thing where he tries to stall and be like, oh yeah, he's like fumbling for his ID card to stall time. But no, instead, he's like, can I see your ID? John Walker's just like, no. So that caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. So that actually was a pretty funny joke. However, that's where my positives pretty much end, because the majority of the jokes just did not land for me. And a large chunk of the humor comes from Red Guardian. Red Guardian's character in Black Widow was basically the comedic relief. And like I said, I did not like the comedy in Black Widow. And he was a large part of the comedy in that film. And like Black Widow, they also make him the comedic relief in Thunderbolts. And once again, it just didn't work for me. I'm not going to say that, this is a pretty much a cliche for me at this point for my reviews, because I say this all the fucking time, but it wasn't obnoxious bad like Quantumania. Red Guardian did not get on my nerves. I didn't hate him in this movie and was like, get the fuck out of this movie because you're annoying. No, it was not obnoxious Quantumania levels of bad. For what it's worth, the audience that I saw it with, Red Guardian got a lot of laughs out of my audience. So take that for what it's worth. I certainly don't think he's obnoxious. It's just that a lot of his jokes just didn't land for me. But hey, this is me, Arron shits on everything Turner. So please take that with a grain of salt. I also will mention there's a really terrible Dr. Phil joke in this movie. One of the characters calls John Walker Dr. Phil as like a joke. And it goes on for like longer than you expect. I just felt like it was not funny at all, and it just went on for like a little too long. And I don't know what they're thinking, but yeah, I just wanted to tell you that. That's probably the worst joke in the movie, honestly, was like Dr. Phil out of nowhere. It's like, okay. My next negative is Ghost slash Ava. Now, first of all, not that this has anything to do with Thunderbolts, so I don't even know why I would bother bringing this up, but I did not like her character in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I did not like her as a villain, and it's really ridiculous and, insulting to everyone's intelligence, quite frankly, the way that they handle her conclude her character in that movie, because she phases in and out, between she's physical and then she's like a ghost. She keeps on phasing in and out, and she's trying to cure Lawrence Fishburne's character. Bill is trying to find a cure for her, and then at the end of the movie, when Janet Van Dyne comes out of the quantum realm, she's able to cure her just by touching her. What? So completely ridiculous. So I did not like Ava slash Ghost in that movie. Really lame villain and very insulting conclusion. But in this movie, while I did not hate her character has no purpose in this movie. I don't know why she's in this movie. She doesn't really add anything. I guess she's just there to fill out the team more. Like, okay, here's Ghost. If you think about it, Ghost is the only one of them that technically does have powers because, you know, she's a ghost. She can phase in and out physically, stuff like that. So I feel like that's really the only reason why she's put in this movie to be on the team, is because it's like, hey, look, we do have someone who has powers on this team. But she does not really do anything in this movie. I don't recall seeing her save anyone in New York when, you know, shit's getting fucked up with the Void. She doesn't really save anyone. Well, I guess she helps them lift debris at one point, but it's like, why is she in this movie? She really does not have a lot of screen time compared to the other characters. And yeah, she's just there. I didn't hate her character, like I said. I just think she has no purpose in the story. Now I'll get into one of my biggest problems with this movie. It's just too predictable. Like I said, while I really loved what they did with the Void and Bob and, you know, that stuff, I loved what they did. This movie is just way too predictable. And I don't just mean in the ending, which was predictable. I mean, like, basically the entire movie. You kind of know how this movie is going to play out. You know that they're not going to die from the death trap in the vaults. You know they're going to escape. You know Bob turns into the Sentry / the Void. You know that they're gonna come together. You know, especially if you've seen the trailer, you pretty much know how the entire movie plays out. It's very predictable. And another thing I think is predictable is that, like, because none of these characters have any powers, and they're all just super soldiers pretty much. You know that there's no way that they can beat Sentry / the Void in a physical fight. There's just no fucking way. He's an all-powerful god. He's stronger than all of the Avengers put together. There's no way. So you know how they're gonna handle it. You know that Yelena, she's not dead. She goes into the Void. She purposely runs into the Void in order to talk to Bob in his mind. The other Thunderbolts, Bucky, all of them, they're like, no, we can't go after her. We can't run in there. For all we know, that just fucking killed her. We can't go in there. And Yelena's not dead. And you know that they're going to calm down the Void. They're going to talk to Bob. Okay, I should rephrase. I'm not saying that this was shit, and they did a bad job. I just knew how things were going to play out. I do like that they're able to defeat the Void, not physically, but just by talking to Bob, by just being there for him. They're able to stop the Void, Bob's darker half, the half that is depressed, the part that is all of his bad thoughts rolled into one. They're able to stop it just by being there for him, just by being a supportive friend. And it goes back to the whole mental health awareness thing, I know, and I think that's great. It's clever. I think it's a clever way to have them beat the villain, because they can't do it physically. But at the same time, that is my problem with this movie, is that you know how it's going to play out. Now I'm going to get into spoilers now, like full-on spoilers, so you've been warned. So you may notice that there is a character in this movie that I have not talked about. Well, I name dropped them at the beginning once, but I haven't talked about them. Taskmaster. A lot of people before this movie came out thinking that Taskmaster was gonna die in this movie. Does Taskmaster die in this movie? Of course Taskmaster dies in this fucking movie. And not only does she die in this movie, she has like 20 seconds of screen time. I don't even think she has a minute of screen time. She dies in like 5 fucking seconds, and she gets shot in the head by one of them shoots her in the head when they first cross paths in the vault, and she dies. This happens in like 5 seconds. Look, it's not a surprise. You know, like I said, this goes back to my whole complaint about it being too predictable. We knew Taskmaster was a goner in this movie. You know, saying Taskmaster dying in this movie is about as surprising as Spider-Man not being in the first season of Daredevil Born Again. Taskmaster dying in this movie is about as surprising as the Green Party gaining 1 seat in the Canadian federal election this year. Taskmaster dying in this movie is about as surprising as the fan reaction when Jack Black says, "Chicken jockey." That's my Jack Black impression, in case you were wondering. Should I go on? Taskmaster dying in this movie is about as surprising as Battle of the Mascots Part 2 not coming out this week. It's coming, I swear. But I think you get the point. Nobody is surprised. Taskmaster is not a fan favorite character. Whose favorite character is Taskmaster? I don't think anyone's shedding any tears over her death and dying in 5 seconds. Nobody really cares. But it is predictable. Everybody saw this coming. But like, all jokes aside, you know, my problem with Taskmaster is not necessarily that she gets killed off so fast. It's that they included her in this movie and advertised Taskmaster as a part of the team. But she's not a part of the team. She dies before they even assemble. Oh, before this team even assembles. Huh, that reminds me of something. I feel like this movie is very similar to a previous MCU movie we've seen. Asterisk. I'll get to that. But, you know, I just don't understand why they would include Taskmaster in all of the advertising. If you're just not going to do anything with her and she just dies so fucking fast. She dies faster than Foggy in Daredevil Born Again. After they escape from the vault, the characters do take like one moment. They have like a little line addressing Taskmaster. I think Ava asks Yelena, "Did you know her?" And Yelena's like, "Yeah, she had a hard life. She killed a lot of people and then she got killed. Same thing's gonna happen to all of us." And then that's it. They never bring her up again. Again, so much for that character. So yeah, that's really all my problem is. I just ask, what was the point? What was the point of having Taskmaster in this movie? You know what I think would have been a better idea? Don't advertise Taskmaster for this movie. You can still have her in this movie and kill her off in 5 seconds. But, you know, that's the problem right there, is the advertising. This is kind of similar to what I said about Red Hulk in Brave New World, but At the very least, Red Hulk does not get killed off. He doesn't have like 5 seconds of screen time. He has a big fight scene at the end. My problem is similar with the advertising, but in the case of Taskmaster, I think that I know they're trying to keep the whole Sentry and Void thing a secret. They didn't really advertise Sentry. All of the in the trailers and all the ads and shit like that and the posters, every time they show Sentry's character, Lewis Pullman, the actor, they just refer to him as Bob. It's the Thunderbolts. Oh, and Bob's here too. They're trying to keep the whole Bob thing a secret, and because Bob, I'm talking about spoilers already, but you've been warned. But because Bob does become a part of the team, he basically replaces Taskmaster. So I don't understand why they couldn't just say Bob is on this team too, instead of just saying Thunderbolts and Bob's here too. They should have just kept Taskmaster a secret. I know that, you know, it wouldn't have gotten a huge reaction. I'm not saying that people would be in the theater being like, holy fuck, Taskmaster? Oh my god. Oh, she's shot in the head. Oh, but that was still pretty cool, right, guys? Like, no, I'm not saying that Taskmaster would have gotten a huge reaction, but I think it would have been handled better and would have been a nice surprise if Taskmaster was just not advertised. Because, you know, she's gonna die. She did get one line before she died. I can't even remember what the fuck she says, but you know, it's good for the actress who plays Taskmaster because at least she got a payday out of it. I don't know how much she was paid for that quick scene, but hey, I don't blame the actress. I just blame the people in charge of like marketing the movie and shit. And also, it doesn't help that Avengers Doomsday, like, this was a huge mistake on Marvel's part, I think. Avengers Doomsday, the cast reveal, which they did in a live stream, they just went through shares of like all the actors and actresses' names that are going to be in Doomsday. They did this live stream before Thunderbolts Asterisk, before the movie came out. And I think that was a huge mistake because who was revealed in that live stream? The cast members of Thunderbolts Asterisk. The cast for this movie was all revealed. However, who's the one character, who's the one actress who was conveniently left out of that live stream? The actress who plays Taskmaster. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm not even gonna bother trying because I know I'm gonna butcher it. So my apologies. But the actress who plays Taskmaster was not included in that live stream. She is the only member of Thunderbolts Asterisk that is not included. So it basically spoiled already that Taskmaster was gonna fucking die. People already, even before the live stream, people already thought that Taskmaster was gonna die. And then that live stream basically confirmed it. So that was a huge mistake on Marvel's part. So yeah, Taskmaster is a problem in this movie. So I've been hinting at it all throughout this entire video, but you'll notice that this movie has an asterisk at the end of the title. And this was really intriguing because when this movie was first announced, there was no asterisk at the end of the title. It was just Thunderbolts. The logo was revealed, Thunderbolts, Marvel Studios Thunderbolts. And it had a different looking logo than what it has now. And then later on, we were given an updated logo, and this one was a really generic font, and it had an asterisk. And people were like, what the fuck? So people thought that that was not the final title of the movie, and that Thunderbolts was a working title. Well, something that I think is really fucking cool is that, yeah, Thunderbolts is not the title of this movie. They reveal the actual title at the end of the movie, and it's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. Now, look, this does kind of go back to what I said before of the movie being predictable. It's not like this title reveal is the most surprising thing ever. I think a lot of people already predicted this and already were expecting this. So it's not the most surprising thing. But I still think, even though it's not surprising, I think this is one of the coolest things that Marvel Studios has ever done in marketing, in promoting a movie. This is so cool. So basically, not only does the asterisk at the end of the title, it's like an asterisk is a star basically with 6 sides. There's 6 Thunderbolts members. So not only does that represent, each side of the star represent a member of the Thunderbolts, but it's also hinting that Thunderbolts is not the final title, and it's not the actual title. So basically, the ending of this movie is after they calm down the void, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna be friends, Bob. You have all these friends now. You're not alone anymore. It sounds like a kiddie movie. I know, it sounds like a kiddie ending, but they do it in a fairly adult way. I'm not trying, please take that. But yeah, so they were like, yeah, okay, Bob, you're with us now. You no longer have to be alone. But so they're like, because this is pretty much all Val's fault, they're like, they go to confront Val, and they're angry at her. But then it turns out this is where the twist ending comes. It's sort of a twist ending, but it's, like I said, it's pretty obvious. Val goes to like hide, and then they come out the other side, and the press is surrounding them, and Val makes the announcement, here's your new team of Avengers. And then the movie ends, and it gives you the real title of this movie, which is The New Avengers. And again, this goes back to, I've been hinting at this throughout the entire video. This movie is basically the first Avengers movie. And how fitting that this movie was released on May 2nd. The first Avengers movie back in 2012 was released on May 4th? So it's so cool, and like almost like it's almost like it's a celebration of like the 13th anniversary of the Avengers movie. It's coming out almost exactly 13 years apart. And it's almost like this is like a celebration, and almost like a mirror image. And it's another cool thing about this movie. They actually do address the fact that we have not seen the Avengers in a long fucking time. After Avengers Endgame, the Avengers just kind of disbanded, and they do their own things now. They don't team up anymore. Captain America is doing his own thing, and even though we did, Brave New World did have that whole, Sam, work with me and we can I want to restart the Avengers, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't really end up working out, but this movie, which I will now be referring to as The New Avengers, because I just think that's really fucking cool, and that's the real title of this goddamn movie. So I'll be referring to that for the remainder of this video. The New Avengers actually addresses the fact that we have not seen the Avengers in a long time. And yeah, it's very clearly supposed to be like a mirror image of the Avengers. The final battle takes place in New York City. Val has purchased the old Avengers Tower, and that's like that's their base now. The old Avengers Tower. They're the new Avengers now. Val is basically the Nick Fury of this Avengers team, and it's fucking brilliant. It's beautiful. I loved it. I wasn't trying to make you think that, like, oh, this movie is a ripoff of Avengers. No, I actually think that's a good thing. I think I was trying to build up to the reveal of the real title. I think this is a good thing. I think it's so cool. Like, it's not a professional way to review this movie by calling it cool all the time, but I really do feel like that is the best way to describe this movie. It's fucking cool, man. There's so much about this movie that is just so fucking cool. The action scenes, Terminator, Winter Soldier, awesome. The Void, awesome design, Sentry, and then the new Avengers. Holy shit. This movie is fucking cool. Makes me like giddy. Like it's so cool. So yeah, the new Avengers is a mirror image of the first Avengers. It's, almost 13 years apart. And we finally get the new Avengers team. The Avengers are back. It's not the same team, obviously, but like the Avengers are back. Everybody's like wondering what the fuck happened to the Avengers, and the new Avengers gives us that. And again, I'll put up this, I probably already have it up, but I'll give you a side by side, because this is Thunderbolts, or wherever it is on the screen. This is the team in this movie. And if you notice, they're standing in New York City, and the way they're standing, it's almost like it's the pan around shot from the first Avengers movie, when the original Avengers, I guess that's what we now have to refer to them as, the original Avengers. It's almost trying to recreate that shot. I may be wrong, like maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe they weren't trying to recreate that shot, but it is really cool that it looks almost like that shot from the first Avengers film. And I love it. It's so cool. The new Avengers, now we can talk about mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene. So if you've seen my review of Brave New World, I called the post-credit scene of that film shit. I called it the worst post-credit scene the MCU has ever had, because it is complete. It fails at the tease. It tells you information you already know, so it doesn't excite you at all. And I said that in that review that the best mid-credit scenes and post-credit scenes, the best MCU movies give you the best of both worlds. They give you a funny scene, and they give you a really cool tease for the future. This movie does both, and I'm happy to say that. However, the mid-credit scene was the funny scene, like the funny haha joke scene, and it's basically like Red Guardian Alexei is in a store, and the new Avengers, I'm sorry, I'm never going to get over that. That's so cool, the new Avengers. But the new Avengers are featured on a Wheaties box, and, there's a girl who's there shopping. And then Alexei basically is like, yeah, you should get this cereal box. And he's not so subtly hinting that he's on the cereal box. And, yeah, that's the joke. And then the woman is like uncomfortable and leaves. It got a laugh out of my audience. Like I said, Red Guardian is the butt of most of the jokes in this movie. It got a reaction out of my audience, but to me, Arron shits on everything Turner. I didn't think it was that funny. I guess it's sort of a cute scene, but it is not that funny. But the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene, I think, is both good and bad. I both like and kind of dislike it. So basically, the post-credit scene, it takes place 14 months later after the events of the New Avengers. I'm sorry, every time, New Avengers. It takes place 14 months later, and this new team is, in the Avengers Tower, and they receive like a distress signal in space or something, or it's like they see something in outer space. And it is a bit of a funny scene too. Again, they do more jokes with Red Guardian. And, it's not, it was a lot, it's a little funnier than the last scene. But anyway, they're all sitting in Avengers Tower. They get this distress signal or whatever. And it's supposed to be a tease for the Fantastic Four entering the MCU. And you see their spaceship and like the Four logo on the spaceship. Again, while I don't think this is a bad scene at all, I think, on its own, it's actually pretty cool, I will admit, on its own. But I feel like it being featured at the end of the New Avengers, doesn't it kind of spoil the Fantastic Four movie? Because, like, the Fantastic Four movie, First Steps, coming out in July, I wonder what's going to happen at the end of that movie. Galactus is obviously going to destroy their universe, causing them to have to travel to the MCU. And that's what we're seeing in that post-credit scene, them entering the MCU. So, it's like, it kind of takes away all, like, the stakes of that movie, Fantastic Four. So I feel like maybe they should have just put this as the post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four movie instead of the New Avengers, because I just feel like it kind of spoils it. And this goes back to what I was kind of saying about Taskmaster being spoiled. The live stream for the Avengers Doomsday cast reveal, it also revealed the Fantastic Four cast members. And again, I just feel like that whole live stream was a big mistake on Marvel's part. They should have just waited until after the Fantastic Four movie comes out to do that live stream and reveal the cast members, because it just basically tells us, it not only does it spoil the New Avengers, it spoils the Fantastic Four too, because that how those movies are going to end now. That all of the members of the New Avengers make it out okay, except for Taskmaster, and it also tells you that, yeah, the Fantastic Four are going to travel over to the MCU after their universe gets destroyed. I just feel like that's a big mistake. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the Fantastic Four movie will end differently than how I'm expecting. And also, how much cooler would it have been if they waited to do that live stream until after Fantastic Four? Because that would have gotten a fucking huge reaction and shit, because, with the reveal of the New Avengers title at the end of this movie, it would have made a lot more sense that they'd be involved in Avengers Doomsday. Because, I saw this a lot with, like, with people's reactions to the live stream. As soon as it said, like, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Sebastian Stan, a lot of people's first reaction was, what the fuck are they doing in this movie? They're not big-time superheroes. They're not, like, they can't, they're not, like, Avengers. They just thought they were the Thunderbolts, and they're just like a low level like super soldier team. I heard that a lot. Like, what the fuck are these people doing in this movie? And it was disappointing for a lot of people. But you know, and you also saw the Fantastic Four cast members. But it would have been so much cooler if they waited to do it after Fantastic Four, because then the reaction would have been, yeah, like we're seeing the new Avengers team in this Avengers movie. It makes a lot more sense, and it would have been like less disappointing and more like of a, yeah, like, you know, I just feel like Marvel was fucking up there. Kind of, that live stream kind of ruined a lot of the hype for Avengers Doomsday for me, and for the new Avengers movie, and for Fantastic Four. Kind of ruined a lot of the excitement. So they really fucked up there, but just my opinion. But yeah, so that's, you know, those are all my points about the new Avengers. One more thing to say before I give my rating. Yes, I did complain that the movie was too predictable. Yes, it is predictable, but at the same time, because this movie made me so giddy, and like the new Avengers reveal, like and all these cool moments, I don't really care that the movie was predictable. Like, yeah, sure, the movie's predictable, but it's still exciting to me. And that's impressive. You know, I find that impressive. So, yeah, this movie is predictable, but exciting. I just said the title of the video. He said the thing, you know? I'm gonna give the new Avengers an 8 out of 10. And yes, this is also the third MCU project this year that I've given an 8 out of 10 to. The ranking is going to be pretty hard. we still have Ironheart in June, but so far this first half of 2025 is looking pretty freaking good for the MCU. Brave New World was a bit of a stumble. I don't hate that movie. I don't think it's bad by any means, but certainly had a lot of problems. But, you know, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1, good MCU Spider-Man, Daredevil Born Again Season 1, great, you know, all these projects have problems, of course, but the MCU, I feel, is going in a really good direction right now. And I hope this continues. I'm interested in the Fantastic Four first steps. So that's what I thought of the new Avengers. Let me know what you guys thought of it. It does seem like maybe I am in the majority this time around, and I don't have another one of my unpopular opinions. A lot of this, again, could be recency bias. Maybe I will feel differently upon rewatching this movie, because since now I know this is the new Avengers movie, maybe, you know, maybe I'll like it less the next time, maybe I'll like it more, who knows. But yeah, this is how I'm feeling about it right now. It's really is a exciting movie, and it's a fucking cool movie. So I hope you guys enjoyed the new Avengers as much as I did. I'm sorry, I can't stop saying that. It's so cool. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully that will be Battle of the Mascots Part 2. It's coming, I swear. Have a good night.